Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. All right. As you know, this is a recording, and I mentioned last week that stepping into relationship started tonight. So, as I am leading that live and in person, wanted to do a recording for you guys for tonight. So, last week we talked about guilt and shame, and we talked about the discrepancy in the two and um, starting or trying to navigate away from shame self talk to guilt self talk. And tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about um, recovery and pathology and maybe what it might look like. I know for many of us, we end up in therapy or in treatment due to whatever our number or medicator is. And others of us end up in therapy or in treatment because of our relationship trauma. And what's really helpful is to be able to recognize that the numbing and the medicating is what is seen as the problem, but the actual problem is trauma. The numbing and medicating is just what we're using to survive. And sometimes that relationship to avoid, numb, isolate through numbing and medicating is a behavior or a relationship that we saw or witnessed all the way back to childhood. So to numb and medicate isn't just cultural, it's also family culture. And being able to look at back in my story, what did pathology look like and what did recovery look like? I never saw recovery. I'm going to own that. I saw a lot of pathology. And the way that I can describe pathology without the medicators is it was really inconsistent and unpredictable. One minute there was yelling, and one minute there was boisterous laughter. It was really loud and fast. Like whether we were doing things fast or expected to hurry up, or it was the rate of speech. But the pathology that was growing within my nuclear family system was hard to identify outside of it's the beer. It's all because of the beer. Because my dad's numbing and medicating was several things outside of beer, but that's the only one we saw. And we would start to correlate his aggressive behavior with his numbing and medicating. So that's where the assumption came from that the beer was the problem. But the beer just exacerbated what was already happening. And being able to look at pathology as a mentality and a thought process and a survival rather than what one can see or what the symptom of it might be. Alcohol, pills, sex, porn, video games, exercise, food, work. Those aren't the problems. They're the attempt at creating a solution. And when we look at recovery, if I were to paint that picture for you, recovery is slow where pathology is fast. Recovery is quiet where pathology is loud. Recovery is pretty predictable where pathology is really unpredictable and inconsistent. Recovery is intentional where pathology is impulsive. Recovery allows me to slow down. Pathology forces me to speed up. So when we start to look at what does recovery and pathology look like specific, specifically pathology without the numbers and medicators, the ones you can't see. And when I look at those two worlds and I look at how different they are, it starts to tell me the things that I need. Because when I'm raised in a home of chaos, that's really loud and really scary and creates a lot of scarcity because there's an absence of things. What I realize is what I crave and need is peace and connection and love rather than codependency. And it starts to help me realize that the chaos is intolerable and the slowness is what I need. So I wanted to share those pictures with you because not everyone identifies with addiction as an alcoholic. Not everyone identifies people pleasing and codependency as an addiction, as it is an addiction to a person. So as we develop these states of being in pathology or being in recovery, what we talked about last week in regards to guilt and shame, in recovery, I can feel. In pathology, I numb. Mm. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. And I'm going to let my team go ahead and pause so you guys can share your experience, strength, and hope. And I'll be back with the tool. Okay. So when we think about recovery versus pathology, I remember avoiding the place that I was told would help me because it started off with a three-letter word. And those that might be new tonight and don't know me, please hear me out. Um, I didn't go to a 12-step meeting because it said the word God. I was a victim of religious trauma, and I didn't believe what other people believed. I didn't believe in the dualism. And I kept being told by people that I respected or by people that had credibility that that's where I needed to be. So when we think about the tool for recovery and how do I come out of pathology and into recovery, one of the first steps is recognizing that I deserve it. And one of the other steps is recognizing that I didn't ask for any of it, not one bit. I also didn't cause it, and I can't cure it by myself. So getting into recovery looks like finding a connection with some type of treatment that allows me to be me and grow. For some people, that's AA. For some people, that's NA. For some people, that's ACA. Some people start out with therapy. Some people start out with Bible study. Wherever there's a level of safety for you that you can feel recovery, you notice you're slowing down. You notice that you're far more intentional as opposed to impulsive. You notice that you're becoming the actor rather than the reactor. You notice that silence and being still isn't so scary anymore. You notice that you're growing and coloring yourself in. It's okay if that three-letter word was scary for you too. It is for a lot of people, and we don't really talk about it. And what I would recommend is finding other ways for connection, whether that's group therapy, whether that's an accountability group, whether that's a men's group, and maybe even talking to your therapist on my team about it because they have lots of suggestions. But the other thing is, if you're here tonight, you're in recovery. So congratulations. I really hate that I missed you guys tonight, and I look forward to seeing you. I hope this was helpful. And to close out, you'll unmute and say your name out loud to recommit to the guidelines that hold us sacred. Amber?